Well, if you caught the last video on the Chaser, that will be the last time I run the 1650 kV in it. We ran it on 3S and 4S, and it did respectably okay. You know, high 20s, low 30s. I wasn't really running a big prop, but I wasn't really trying to. I was just trying to, you know, give some content and some context, give me some data to put in my notebook as far as what prop does what speed, with what motor configuration on what voltage. I like to keep track of all that information. So I've bounced around as far as what motor to put in there. So we have this one here, which is the Leopard X2 2200 kV. And then we have this one here, which is also a Leopard X2 2600 kV. Now this is a 4074 and a 4082. My original plan was to slowly go up in kV. I think I'm going to stick with that plan. So I'm going to put the 2200 in it, and we're going to run this a couple of runs, just like we did the the 1650. That motor was never originally supposed to go in the boat. It was just for me, for mock-up purposes, to, you know, put the boat together. That's all it was. And I just decided just to leave it in there for its maiden voyage and run it that way. I'm doing the 4082 2200 for one reason. Because I had mounted the ESC in such a way that I could get to this last line here. So if you see right here, well, if I go to the 4074, I'm going to have to move up to this line here. Well, if you come over on this side, you can see my ESC blocks that second hole. So I'm going to have to pry the ESC up and then move the double-sided tape and get that up. And I don't want to do that just yet because I'll be moving it back and forth. Because if I move it this way, then it blocks this screw here. And that's why I opted to take this off this way, and I left that on there because it's kind of set at the right angle right now. So I'm going to put in the 2200, and it'll be perfect. It'll be perfect in my opinion for 4S. But I think it's also still a good 6S capable motor. Now I do have some 5S batteries, and I think in a future split screen shootout, we'll do a 4S race, and then a 5S race, and then a 6S race. And I hope that this motor can withstand 6S. It's supposed to, but I don't know. And what we'll have to do is we'll look at the data logs of the 4S and the 5S, and we'll see if it's something that we can do. So let me know in the comments if you want me to put the other 2200 in the Dominator and then run them equally, because I think that is what I originally said. I want to try to get both of these boats to have similar setups, at least a similar motor. The rocket motor that's in it now is 1900 kV, so it would make this one almost a little bit more peppier. So I think that's what we're going to do. I'm going to go ahead now. It's just easier because these aren't in anything. You know, I have to take the motors out of the Cheetah and then put these in there. And I think if I put these in the Cheetah with the Sea King 180s, as somebody had listed, they said, you know, your Sea King 180s might not be enough to push the 2200 kVs on 6S in that Cheetah, which they may be right. But, you know, the Cheetah needs to go under the knife a little bit. I need to reformulate the game plan as far as the deck is concerned on it. But we'll save that for a future video. Still kind of working on my little hydro. But tonight we're just focusing on switching the motor out on this to where when we go back to the pond, we'll be able to run this in my speed run pond and try to get this dialed in a little bit more. Because the Dominator is an excellent platform. I mean, that boat handles on rails. So I need to spend a couple of days, you know, a couple of runs with just this boat, and we'll take it out to the speedrun pond. We'll try to get it dialed in with the setup that we have here. You know, I might switch these turn fins over to some wider, fatter turn fins. but we're going to try to just leave the single trim tabs on. You know, the reason why I did this is because this is all stuff I had. I had the rudder, I had the stinger, and I had the trim tabs. The only thing I had to buy was the turn fins. So that was, you know, that was my thought process. And I wanted lightweight. So cool. I'm going to work on getting this motor put in and switch this jacket around. These jackets do excellent, by the way. But other than that, it should be pretty well, pretty easy swap. So I'm going to get to work on that, and we'll see what it turns out and look like. Well, I just learned something. This is a 4092, 4082. So I cannot use the red cooling can on the 4082 with the rear motor support. The O-rings won't seal on the front. So luckily, the cooling can for the 4074 will work. What I noticed is that the shaft on this is longer. It's longer by, I don't know, 3 millimeters. So I basically just put them nose to nose, and I could tell that there was a gap. Well, you can't really tell it now that I got it bagged up. But we have to shorten the snout on this. We're going to shorten the shaft a little bit. So I'm going to take it over here. I've got a bag on it right now to protect it. So I'm just going to take it over here to this little Harbor Freight grinder that I got. And I'm just going to hold it right there. And first thing I'm going to do is get a little black magic marker and make a mark on the flat spot so I know where to stop. But that's basically what I'm going to do. I'm going to shorten that shaft just a little bit. Because if I don't, then I can't get my collet nut on. I need the depth of my collet to go down and basically bottom out on the end of the flat spot down in there. So that's where I'm aiming for. So got to make that little adjustment first, and that's why I got the motor bagged up. All right, let's see if I can show you what I had to do. So we basically just shortened the overall length, and I needed this to go all the way and bottom out against where the flat spot ends, right there. Perfect. Same length as the TP motor now, so we shouldn't have an issue with it clearing this, because I've got to be able to get this off just barely, and now I think it'll work. All right, well, we're finally here. We're going to test out the 2200 kV Leopard motor. We took out the 1650, installed the 2200, and I went ahead and I shortened those really long wire jumpers that I had. I've got it set proper CG. I've got one GPS unit in the front on the remote and one here. We'll correlate to see how close they are to one another. I've got everything here ready to go. I've got Miles' boat down there, so we're going to run them together. And let me get this all taped up and get out on the water. So since we're running 4S right now, I've got a Dr. Props 1716 on here, stainless steel. I'm going to go ahead and throw it in the water. Oh, wow. Yeah, she is. I've got to trim it like 1.5 degrees up, and I think that's a little too much. She picked the nose up. Whoa. Yeah. Either that or that prop's too aggressive. It is windy out here too. I'm just following you. It's way faster than what I'm diving it right now. Ooh! Damn. Stop. Don't hit me. Alright, I'm gonna go ahead and bring it in. I'm going to bring mine in because I've got my trim way too high up. Okay, so when I had left the house, I had this set somewhere between 1.5 and 1.6, okay? So right now, I know it's not calibrated right because it's on a stand and it's on the back of my truck. But we can use this number as a reference. So we're at 1.2 to 1.3. If we lower it down to like 0.2 or 0.3, then we've taken out the 1 degree and we've left the half or the quarter of a degree. So that's what I'm going to do. Because I think right now it's just lifting the nose too much and it's going crazy. Okay, well, theoretically I should have 0.2 of a degree up on that strut now. Because it was at 1.5 at the house. We just set it back at 1.5 and now I've turned it down to 0.20. Let's go see how it runs. Well, on a lighter note, so far we've done 47 miles an hour on 4S with the 2200 kV. Not bad. Okay, let's give this a whirl. Oh man, much better. Much better. Oh yeah, she definitely gets unhappy when it's not smooth. I may need to run a more forward CG. I think I'm gonna try that. Wide open. I mean, honestly, she looks fairly clean, but it's like speed run setup right now. You can't have any waves. Wide open throttle. Yeah, it just starts to get a little dancy. Okay, I'm gonna say it needs slightly more CG in the front. I did have the battery slid back about a half an inch further more than I used to, which give me a little bit less than 70-30. So, you know, it's probably like 28% and 72%, you know. But I wanted to just try it. Wow, check that out. Setup makes all the difference. 59 miles an hour on 4S. Let's see what the Dynamite GPS says inside. I'm going to guess the Dynamite's probably going to say either 58 or 60. Man, we're busting out all kind of records today. All right, no smoke. That's great. That's great. See that motor temp, 118. Nice. Front of the motor, 109. She likes it. Ooh, look at that. Look at that. It pulled the heat shrink way down. Holy crap. I ain't never seen something do that in my life. Okay. Wow. It really shortened the shit out of that, didn't it? Huh. Let's check the battery. 108. Okay. And we did 59 on here. So, people want to know, is the WFly X9S GPS accurate? Absolutely. Two of them together. Both of them read 59 miles an hour. So, can't complain about that. All right, let's check the voltage on the battery. Brought it in just in time. Cool. Okay. Well, I think I need to try a couple different prop variations. I think we're going to get ran out of here pretty soon by a storm. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up. And plus I need to do something about that heat shrink situation, which is kind of crazy. But if you look here, you see how I've got the two showing, the two little lines? Right before I took it out, I pushed it back from the third one. So I just have to have the third one visible, and I can kind of see it down there. That's typically where I run it to have a 70-30 CG, and I was like, well, let me just try. See right there. So I had slid the battery back roughly 3/8 to half of an inch, and that did seem to affect it, but it had an excellent ride attitude as far as getting it up out of the water, but it was really squirrely, you know what I mean? So for like oval racing, no, she needs to be more forward. You got to test these things, you know. I thought, well, maybe if if the back of the boat was skipping in a turn, maybe I need to slide the battery back to keep more weight in the rear. That was literally my thought. So now I know that it won't handle itself at 60 miles an hour with a more rear heavy CG like that. So we need to push the battery a little bit more forward. So it's all about testing, tuning. I learned that 1.5 degrees up on the strut doesn't work. Right now, I think I've got it at like 0.1 or 0.2 of a degree up. So pretty neutral on the strut. It likes that, especially with 1716 Dr. Prop. So can't complain about that. Almost 60 miles an hour. Can't complain about that either. So everything on it, in my opinion, seems to be pretty good. And I'm happy with it. So I'm going to go ahead and end it here. Thank y'all for watching. Hope you enjoyed. See y'all at the pond later. Peace.